Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of Getting Your Class to Behave with me, Sue Cowley. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the idea of giving them structure and being able to say, I know where we're going. So, as I explain in the book, our natural impulse as human beings is to want a sense of structure because it helps us to feel safe and secure. We know what to expect when we turn up at a lesson. We know what's going to happen. We know what we're being asked to do. And by following along with that routine, with that structure, we can get on and actually enjoy our learning. And as I say in the book, where learners don't have those structures and routines and boundaries at home, it will be especially important for them to have them in your classroom because it will give them that sense of security that perhaps they've been missing thus far. And perhaps at home things feel a little chaotic, a little unsafe, but while they're with you in your classroom, they know exactly what they need to do. And I talk about different times at which these structures or routines might need to be put in place. So clearly the start of the lesson in the secondary classroom, but the start of the day in an early years setting or a primary school. And this might involve how your children are asked to come into the space, what they do immediately when they arrive, and so on. And just to give you one example of a routine, I'll talk briefly about the routine that we have at the early years setting where I currently teach. So the children arrive and the first thing they do is they hang up their coats, put their wellies in the right spot, and then they put their bags in the cloakroom. And then they find their names. And we're encouraging them to do this independently, but for the younger ones, we're there to support them if they need it. Once they've found their names, they're going to let us know how they're feeling that day. Are they feeling sad? Are they feeling happy? Are they feeling upset? So what they're going to do is they're going to be thinking during the course of the routine. It's not a kind of unthinking structure. It's a structure within which they are asked to interact and have some responses. And then once they've done that and everybody has arrived, one of the children rings a little bell. And that is the signal for everybody in the setting to start singing a song, which is Find a Mat. So they'll go find a mat, find a mat, find a mat, find a mat. And they go and find a mat and they come to sit down on the carpet. And then carpet time is very structured as well. So it includes, the days of the week, their names. It includes what we're going to do today, what we're doing now, what we're doing next, and so on. And so right from the start of the day, the children have that sense that they know what's coming next, they know what's expected of them, they know what they need to do. Now, as I say in the book, other times where you might want to have a very clear structure or a very clear routine are often around what I've just been exploring, the use of space. So around carpet time, might be around groupings when you need them to get into certain groups. So for instance, we have two groupings. We have the older children and the younger children, and they know the name of those groups. It might be around seating plans in a secondary classroom where you have a very structured use of that space. So the learners know exactly where they're expected to sit, and you can also keep an eye on who's sitting where and get to learn names, which is really handy as well. And I talk in the book how what happens over time is that your learners know what to expect when they're with you. They begin to view you as a stable feature of their lives, and this leads to increased trust, it leads to strong attachments, it leads to better relationships. They come to look forward to spending time with you. Their behaviour becomes more predictable, thus reinforcing that positive sense of the time of the routines. And as the patterns of behaviour are repeated, they become habituated. So the learners will start to do them automatically. Now, other points at which you might want to have structures and routines are the structure of your actual lesson. So do you start with a starter activity? When are you going to talk about the actual learning objectives of the lesson? What's going to happen at the end of the learning time? The resources will need structuring as well. So who's handing them out? Where are they? How do you collect in books? And you can incorporate little strategies that will really help you with workload. So when you collect in the books, if you collect them in open to the page where the children have been working, that saves you time when you're looking through the books later on. And then thinking about the end of sessions as well can be a really important time. And so just to give you an example from secondary, because I've taught in early years primary and secondary, at the end of lessons, even with my Key Stage 4 learners, I would get them to do a little activity where they had to freeze like a statue. And while they were practicing freezing, I would run through what they'd achieved in the lesson, reminders about the homework and so on. And then when I said 3, 2, 1, unfreeze, I would challenge them in slow motion to tuck their chairs under their desks and stand behind them. And that sense that there was a fun little routine at the end of the lesson just meant that the lesson ended with a calm moment where everybody left feeling that things had been structured and under control. So if you think about how important structure is for you in your own daily life and how it really helps having a routine about getting up, having your breakfast, getting to work and so on, you'll see that the same applies to your learners as well. I'm Sue Cowley. This has been Getting Your Class to Behave. I hope you can join me for the next episode. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.